Which arpeggio is Yngwie Malmsteen's favorite? And here's my all-time hero Greg Howe using that same arpeggio. That sound is called a diminished 7 arpeggio. I'll teach you what a diminished 7 arpeggio is. More importantly, where you can quickly find and grab it in any of your improvisations to get that cool little bit of an outside sound. And 6 really cool Greg Howe inspired lines for you to just steal and grab and see it in action. If arpeggios scare you guys, get to the description below, get my free arpeggio guide, and also be a little bit kind. It's an older lesson from the starting days of Introspection Academy about 3 years ago, because I just had vacation, no time to upload a new lesson, but enjoy it anyway, because it teaches you a really valuable point, how to use diminished 7 arpeggios in your improvisation to get a little bit more creative with outside sounds. Alright guys, enjoy the lesson, see you after. What I'm going to talk to you about now is the concept of using a diminished 7 sound over your Dorian kind of backing track. So I'm going to use this backing track, which will also be in the choruses. This one is a G Dorian static chord family. So let's explore that concept what I just told you guys. So a diminished 7, right? I'm going to position myself a little bit here, so I got my in-screen temperature there. So a diminished 7, guys, you should probably know that a diminished 7, I always refer them to the Yngwie Malmsteen arpeggios, right? It's this one. Right, that kind of a sound. So let's review together. In this case, it's 3rd fret on the G string, 6th fret on the G string, 5th string on the B string, 3rd string on the E string, and a 6th fret again on that E string, that low E string. Now you should know that it walks, as we would call it, minor thirds, so it's going to just repeats itself. Shape is the same, stays the same, the sound stays the same. These are just inversions of the same notes. And interestingly, also, if you see, if I go, that note is actually part of this one. But it's also just the same 4 notes. So what is this? 2nd fret on the D string, 5th string on the D string, 3rd string on the G string, 2 on the B string, and 5 on the B string. I always call them nested shapes, you know? And they're doing the same thing, it walks in minor thirds. Now, most important thing, guys, is when you watch the formula, right? The formula of a diminished 7 in this lesson context, what we're doing here is, and I'm sharing you, this is the flat 3 of the G Dorian, flat 5 of the G Dorian G minor blues scale. This one is that major 6th, right, which is that characteristic Dorian sound, and then the root note. Last one is again the 3rd. So it's interesting because any of these notes can, for you guys, work as a point to hang on to. For me, for example, I always try to, I'm hanging on to the flat 5. Flat 5 is like an anchor point for me. So when I know I'm going to be using that kind of sound for a moment, I'm looking very quickly for that flat 5. Where's my flat 5s, right? That's my approach, at least. You could target the root note, of course, if you like. But for me personally, I see that flat 5, right, and I can immediately tap into the sound, like here. Right, so I'm seeing those flat 5s everywhere, guys, and that's, for me personally, my anchor point to position those diminished 7s, right? When I'm here, right, it's the G Dorian backing track now. So I know know, right, the flat 5 is in the diminished 7 sound we're looking for. Right? So that's find that anchor point, right, for you guys. That's important. And then let's do this, guys. This is a very practical lesson here. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you 6 lines, 6 examples, right? Now, why would we do this, right? Why am I even talking about this? What do I like about this? First of all, in the uncertain terms, there are a few examples, right, of this diminished 7 shape. We use that in combination with the minor blues scale of G in this case, or G Dorian, adding some notes here and there. It gives you kind of an outside sound. That's what it is, right? And in the Greg Howe Hypercuity album, there's a few albums from here, a few courses from here still, but he's using that all the time, and I love it. It's like he's almost overusing it there, but anyway, I like it because it gives you slightly outside sound, right? A bit of a dark sound. All right, first line is this one. I'm showing that here. So basically it's just in the G blues. Just in the B, in the G minor blues box, right? The pattern 1. Right, already. 6 is of course the flat 5, and that's my cue point for line, no? Bit of an outside sound, but still very much in the blues box, right? But we're basically seeing that shape. Right, let's move on to the next one. So the next position, let's see, I'm moving to mode 2 of pattern 2, right, of the minor G minor blues scale. Right, it's just a pattern 2, so what we're doing here. Here is also, guys, this little T with a circle around in your tablature, right? It's a hammer-on from nowhere. I'm not picking it. See? And this 8th fret note here is also a hammer-on from nowhere. So I'm not even trying to, it's just part of the Greg Howe style. You really need to get a feel for which notes Greg would typically hammer on from nowhere, right? And it's a bit strange in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it helps you guys, because it brings more rest to that hand, because it needs to pick less, right? And always, guys, practice that in small. Just practice maybe that for a start. So you just have to refrain from picking that 9th fret on the G string. Beautiful line again, guys. Alright, let's move on to lick number 3. So I'm again moving to the next diminished shape. I was here. Now I'm going. And again. Again, this flat 5 from the standpoint of a G minor blues scale is in there. And I'm doing. Now this thing here, guys, how the line starts. That's such, he uses that all the time, especially in the last 5 or 10 years. Also want you guys to pay attention to the execution here. It is not a sweep. It could have been, right? But that's not Greg's style. Greg would typically do this. Which is a down, middle finger pluck, and then again a down. again, this is a really cool thing to practice in itself. And again here, again, don't do, not typically sweeping, but down, block, down. That's interesting. Right, so these execution details are important, guys, and that's typically what I try to differentiate myself with a lot of other tablatry you sometimes find of Greg, right, online. You don't have picking details, so that leaves guessing, right? You need to guess how Greg would have picked it, right? And that could lead to frustration and possibly bad habits. So I'm just giving you every picking detail, right? I think it's important that you really fret and pick things how Greg would pick it, right? I mean, important in the sense that we're studying Greg Howe style, so it is important that you make the extra effort to really try to understand how Greg would have would play it, right? Alright, let's move on to a very short line. Now I'm going to use the other shape, right? We have two sort of shapes. We're back now with this one. Right? I'm just going to do this. Again. Down, pluck, down. Down. And again, this flat 5 is a hammer-on from nowhere. You see how close that is to possibly, probably a zone, guys, that you're playing for years in, right? It's just a minor blues box, right? And now you get all these cool diminished 7 dark sounding stuff here suddenly. I hope that really helps and opens new worlds for you guys. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay, I have this one. Same sound, we're just moving up a minor third. It's that kind of thing, right? It's just inversions, the same notes mixed up again. And then, right, so, and we're doing this now. Right, so again, watch out for that hammer-on from nowhere. That one. Cool little line, no? Alright guys, and then the last one. I'm moving up now to, I'm always calling this this is my home position, but this is my vacation position, I always call it in the minor blues context, scale context. Just mode 4, or pattern number 4 of the minor pentatonic blues scale. I got like, and again, that's how the lines start, but here's my flat 5, so for me that's my personal cue. Alright, there's the diminished 7 shape short by, so that's just the minor blues scale fragment, but in my head I see, because I want to include that flat 5 into that shape. This time, for this last exam, I'm trying to connect both sorts of shapes. This note is not in the scale, it's just a transition note to get me into the next form of shape. Right, so. with a... It's kind of a introspection thing, right? Anyway. So I got... So hey guys, anyway, these are 6 slides for you guys. Using the concept behind all of them is use a diminished 7 shape as your skeleton, as your anchor point, especially for me personally. So these shapes should be familiar for you normally. Otherwise they're very symmetrical, they really just repeat themselves, pretty easy to learn. But it's a really cool concept, I think, to sometimes just go into it. Just take that little detour when you're soloing, just take that diminished 7 for a moment and you get a new exotic sound that Greg is using a lot. I love that, right? So downloadable tabs and backing tracks on Patreon. And if you love this lesson, guys, go watch this one talking about the little brother or sister of diminished 7 arpeggio, a half diminished arpeggio. I'm calling it the dark arpeggio. Go watch here. Thanks for watching. See you guys.